Hey, hello everybody. How you doing tonight? We had a little rainstorm come through earlier, but it's turned out to be a beautiful night here on Lake Wentworth. Been getting a lot of rain up here lately. Not nearly what happened in Vermont and in western New Hampshire. I hope everything turns out okay over there. With the flooding was just awful, really awful. So let me set this up tonight. What I'm going to talk about. My last Facebook Live, the topic was Donald Trump. Are you going to follow him blindly, or are you going to become informed and make a decision? And the point was, do your homework out there. Become informed. I mean, I don't watch cable news. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch network news. I mean, all those are biased, and I mean, you can get some information out of there, but very biased sources. So, I tend to do a lot of reading, a lot of researching, and and there's a lot of information out there, ton of information out there, and if folks would just spend some time and become informed, they can make a better decision. And I even said in that Facebook Live, I said, listen, if you become informed and decide to support Trump, good for you. I mean, you've made an informed decision. And the other thing I'll say about that is, the same can apply, absolutely, and I could have done this on Joe Biden. Could. Same thing with Joe Biden. Are Democrats going to vote for him blindly, or are they going to become informed? I didn't pick Biden because, most of the people that follow me are conservative Republicans, so that's who I'm talking to. At any rate, so, I thought it was a pretty innocuous Facebook Live just to get people thinking. I don't think I got into anything much about criticizing Trump or trying to give my opinions on things. I did, I wanted, and I think I did, just keep it very matter of fact. Go become informed before you make a decision. Well, lo and behold, I received, messages through various platforms and emails and notifications and, from I don't know how many people, probably, I don't know how many, but, calling me names, calling me a RHINO, doing memes on me, and I was just like, what in the world? I mean, and I think it was mostly Trump supporters, because I think they interpreted, I'm not even sure they listened to the Facebook Live, but I think they interpreted the title of the Facebook Live as being against Trump, so, but it was amazing to me, and messages, and this is where part of the title come from, calling me a RINO and spelling it RHINO, which is the animal, and versus RINO, which is Republican in name only. So what I'll say is a lot of this blowback was, just sort of weird and odd and clearly people that are uninformed. So as I was thinking about this, and getting these messages, I thought, this RHINO stuff, and it's, and now it's kind of, that term has evolved to where Trump uses it for any Republican who doesn't agree with them. Any Republican who doesn't agree with Trump is a RHINO. Is the way it's playing out now. So in any event, I mean, which I think's ludicrous. I mean, there's a lot of conservatives out there that don't agree with Trump. A lot of solid Republicans who don't agree with Trump, and just because they don't agree or support Trump doesn't mean they're a RHINO. So I'm getting these messages, and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I ought to come up with an acronym for people, both from the left and the right. Because, what happens from the left? If you disagree with them, they immediately call you names, right? You disagree with the left on something, they call you a racist. They call you an oppressor. They call you, a transphobe, a homo. You disagree with something, they immediately are calling you names. And they tend to be, those name callers tend to be uninformed. So you get it from the left, you get it from the right. I think on the right, it in large part comes from Trump supporters. So I was getting these messages calling me names, memes, and actually, so I pushed back a little bit, and this one person then said, well, what do you think about the weaponization of DOJ? So let me just say what I think about that. Is no institution of government, whether it's the DOJ, the FBI, any of the intelligence agencies, should be weaponized against political opponents. Just shouldn't happen. And if you paid attention to the Durham report, which largely reflects what the DOJ and Inspector General said a year or two or three ago, whenever that was, is that the beginning of the Russian collusion investigation, was improperly handled, and likely it shouldn't even have been an investigation. And given what we now know about the text messages and what some of the people in the FBI were doing, yeah, it definitely looks like the DOJ was weaponized against Donald Trump with regard to the Russian collusion investigation. Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. Now, full stop. Does that mean everything that's going on with the DOJ and the indictment against Trump is a weaponization of the DOJ against Trump? I would suggest you become informed about what's going on there before you make that judgment. Just because it happened to him in the Russian collusion probe does not mean that now anything the DOJ does as it relates to Donald Trump or others is a weaponization of the DOJ. Could be, but do your homework and make a judgment after you do your homework on that. The other thing I got here was a comment of, what do I think about the 81 million votes? And I think the question relates to, Biden got 81 million votes, which is so much more than any other president ever got. And which, Donald Trump uses as sort of some raw meat around the stolen election thing. And I mean, in my opinion, the fact that Biden got that many votes and the fact that Trump got a lot of votes, and he says more votes than any sitting president, in and of itself, is mostly evidence, actually is really solid evidence that there was a lot of intensity in this election. And a lot of people paid attention to it. And a lot of people voted. And that's not surprising. I mean, I was campaigning at the time. I know what the intensity was like out there. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people were interested in that election and voted. As far as that as being some kind of evidence of, the election being stolen, I would say it's incredibly weak to no evidence. Just because a lot of votes were cast. Now, and I'm going to get into this a little bit, is, if you paid any attention to any of the facts around this whole, election was stolen stuff, go down the list. The Speaker of the Arizona House, Rusty, I forget his last name, good, strong, conservative Speaker of the Arizona State House. He said, he said Rudy Giuliani said they had evidence of all these people voting twice or illegals voting. And the guy said, give me the evidence, show me. And Rudy Giuliani said, oh, we have the list. Never gave him any evidence. The situation in Georgia, they recounted that, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. They ran down every allegation made by Trump and others, and none of it was true. And I would just say this. In November, it's going to be 3 years since that election. And you would think if there was, meaningful evidence that the election was stolen, Donald Trump and his people would be spreading that evidence everywhere. They would be out there screaming from the rooftops. And they're not. What they're doing is we used to say this in my legal career, lawyers will throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. And so you hear 81 million votes and I got more votes than anyone else. And just all these, the machines. But where's the evidence? There is no evidence of it. And if there were, wouldn't Donald Trump be just, if he had evidence that the average person in America who's in the middle politically, who would look at it and say, yeah, that's evidence. He would be plastering that everywhere, and quite frankly, it kind of reminds me, and this might be a boomer moment, of O.J. Simpson saying he's going to hunt down the killer of his ex-wife. It's so at any rate, I think I answered the questions from that guy. So at any rate, so all this sort of name calling and stuff, and just saying absurd things. I thought, okay, one of my reactions to it was I posted on the Facebook page, and I actually sent to this person, a 57-second video of Donald Trump's deposition from just this past October, very recent, in this E. Jean Carroll case. And listen to it, and he's asked about his comments from many, many, many years ago, from like 10 years ago, the Access Hollywood tape, when he said some awful things on that tape, and he said at the time, that was just locker room talk. Good explanation. Well, he was asked about it in the deposition. Watch the tape. And he doubles down on it. Watch that tape. And that's just a snippet of information that, the kind of thing I was telling people about. It's not hard to find that stuff. Look at that 50-second video and make your own determination, and see how Trump answered this question about grabbing women, and see how you feel about it. I would think, if you actually watch it, that those of you out there who have young daughters would not want your young daughter to be around Trump if you watch the tape. So at any rate, as I was thinking of, and also I think I mentioned in that last video about becoming informed, and the Federation of Republican Women having Trump speak at their luncheon, and I referred to that tape. That's the tape I'm referring to. Is again, look at it, and as a woman, think about how you feel about Donald Trump. And so let's get to the acronym. That's the whole purpose of this. So I was thinking, all right, people are throwing around RHINO. People from the left call Republicans and conservatives awful names. You've heard them all: racist, homophobe, transphobe, oppressor, xenophobe. You know the list. So yeah, I mean, it's just, that's where we are in our politics, and it's awful. Which, when you think about what's going on, with the Joe Biden, the Democrat president, Donald Trump, the leading Republican candidate, it's a contest of saying your candidate is worse than my candidate. So it's kind of like each side is admitting their candidate's awful, but the other side's candidate's worse. Really an interesting situation. So what do we call these people who think they're informed, but they're really not? They hear these sound bites from whoever, they really like, whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, and they pop off with, what's from the sound bite without even thinking about it. So the whole RINO thing, and so I was thinking, I said, okay, what can we call them? So I came up with, and they think they're activists, though they're really not. They think they're activists, and, so well, they're activists in name only. So pick that up from the whole RINO thing, RINO and name. Activists in name only. And I added, usually stupid. Because usually these people are calling you names out of context. They're throwing around these talking points out of context. They have no idea what they're talking about, what it means. So if you take the first letter from, activists in name only, usually stupid, what do you get? And I'm gonna start using it, all right? But I want to see if someone out there will send me a note, an email, a text message on here what the acronym is. I think it's pretty good. I mean, I've tested it with some people, and they kind of laughed. It's funny. It is funny. A little bit. It's crude, but I think it's as a retort to people who are calling you names. It's a pretty good retort. Activists in name only, usually stupid. So the acronym is A-I-N-O-U-S. Think about how to say that. A-I-N-O-U-S. And so, activists in name only, usually stupid. So that's, I'm thinking about, starting to use that pretty regularly. And I'd like your thoughts on that and what you think. So listen, that's it for tonight. And let me just see here if my friend is blowing me up more. And I gotta stop that. I'm just getting some traffic on here. So yeah, I got some people laughing about what I just said. Activists in name only, usually stupid. A-I-N-O-U-S. So when those lefties, call you a name for having just a good conservative position, you can call them that. And those people on the right, if they're Trump supporters or whoever they support, say something stupid to you like calling you a RHINO, you can call them A-I-N-O-U-S. And so that's the new acronym, and I hope everybody thinks about it, and maybe we'll all start using it. Thank you very much. Enjoy the evening. It's a great evening here, and I'll see you soon.